Hey everybody, back with another movie review. I'll be covering all I should say personally, the significant Predator films. I just covered Batman vs. Predator comic, which is up on the channel. Excuse me, youtube.com/Talkative Carl. If you want to check that out. And don't forget to leave a like and hit the notification button. Your viewership is like really appreciated. It helps me out so I can help you guys out because I love making this content for you guys. I've been wanting to cover like the Predator films, at least the good ones, for quite some time. I will be covering the first Predator movie, obviously, Predator 2, Predators, and then Prey. I am avoiding AVP and AVP 2 like the plagues. I do not really care for those. Hardly anybody does. But yeah, a little disclosure, going back into my childhood, because my father, I watched a lot of TV with my father when I was a little kid. I'm a homebody. I usually spend a lot of time like watching a lot of movies and TV shows. Uh, I watched the first Superman movie with him. That's why I have some. Christopher Reeve is like the gold standard of Superman to this day. And I love the first two Superman films, which I will eventually cover at some point because I love those films. And uh, but I watch a lot of like action films and stuff like that. Now, he will argue that I've seen a lot of you know uh, R-rated films, but this one in particular, because I always personally feel that the first Predator movie is not just like an R-rated film. This is like a first because I remember watching like Terminator 2 and like you know uh, other action films like that, but this is different because as a little kid when I saw this, because like it was just like a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff. He's fun. It was like it's cool. But then you see like the Predator, and it's like the first kill, and then like the first time you seen like skinned human beings, that was jarring to me. That always stuck with me as a kid, and it's like it was like holy crap, that because I was still like significantly invested because like I wanted to see this through and like get a good look at this thing because like I don't, what does this thing look like? Because you only see him cloaked for the most part of this movie, but boy, it was a whole lot of fun, and it's like the one of the most quotable films, uh, in movie history. It's like right up there, like Star Wars. It's like it has like tons of quotes. Right up there, like Nolan films, Nolan Batman films, and like the MCU. But it's just like like this is like a staple of a movie. Even though they tried to carry on the legacy that personally, because I don't think a lot of people give like Predators its just due, because that was really good. I think that was directed by Robert Rodriguez. That was pretty good and very different from what we're used to since the prior two films. Uh, but I always state, I think a lot of people always state that what makes the Predator films great is just that you pick up a particular time period, seemingly having its own little story. Like, Predator 2 is just like your typical cop movie, but you throw a Predator in it. A typical cop movie in the 90s and you throw a Predator in it. And, Prey, you would think it's like a typical Native American early period piece, but throw a Predator in it. And, that's how it will work. And with AVP and AVP 2, they kind of veered off a bit, quite a bit. But yeah, this movie, like, I have like a fondness to. Uh, Predator, obviously starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers playing Dutch and Dylan, but you also got uh, El uh, Elpida Carrillo playing Anna, Bill Duke as Mac, Richard Chavez as Pancho, Jesse Ventura, Blaine, Sonny Lanham as Billy. He only did like a couple of movies playing a guy named Billy. Of course, Shane Black, one of my favorite directors. Right there, as far as like my favorite movie directors, Shane Black, Tim Burton is my tippy top favorite. Kevin Smith is my favorite as well, and Christopher Nolan. It's like those are like my favorite movie directors of all time. Uh, Playing Shane Black playing Rick Hawkins, uh, and of course the guy who plays the Predator, the late Kevin Peter Hall, who done a lot of, because of his height, he was a very tall person, played a lot of imposing creatures in movies. Like he was Harry, or at least I should say the Bigfoot in Harry and the Hendersons. He was that guy, but he's also the Predator, which I think that pretty much landed him in, like real stardom. But he died, 1995, just like a month short of his 36th birthday from AIDS. But it was like a blood transfusion after like a car accident, which was weird, like how that mishap even occurred. But that happened. So like RIP to that gentleman. He really set the tone of like one of the easily put in the top 10 greatest iconic movie villains in history. The Predator should be easily the top 10 as like, the most intimidating and scary movie villains. So it was like right there with like the T-1000 and Freddy Krueger, and Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers as like, you know, the most, and some people even put the Wicked Witch of the West up there too, as like the most iconic. Oh well, the Joker, because even though he's a comic book villain, but that aside, like typical just straight movie villains, those that I mentioned are like the most recognizable and the most like steeped in pop culture history that you saw like a frame of them. Everybody would instantly know who they are. So anyway, 1987, Dutch and his team got called in. Who they pretty much like a rescue military team. Get called in for this secret mission, trying to rescue some cabinet administrators, which Dutch was a little like, confused on. It's like, what are they doing way out here? Of course, he's not getting the full picture here, and of course, like his superiors like telling him like giving him the lowdown. And of course, you get this iconic part. It's probably one of my favorite iconic moments in this film, where it's like, because Dutch asks like, "Why call us?" Because some damn fool accused you of being the best, Dylan. You son of a bitch. And it's like I love it. It's like just these like this burly man. And it's like God, it's like this like the testosterone just filling up the movie. And it's like God, it's like hell yeah. It's like God, it's like it's one of my favorite gifts that I like to do when he's like you just want to just like when the staff's like yeah dude this is my dude, this is my bro, like my friend. It's like my ride or die. It's like hell yeah. It's like you son of a bitch. It's like, yeah, I love that line. I love that scene. I defy you to say that scene, just it might be underrated to most people, but God, it's like I love it. I love it. But obviously, Dylan has ulterior motives here, why he specifically requested his friend and his team to accompany him in order to get these people out. But of course, uh, you know, uh, because Dust's team is only a rescue squad. Dylan feels like, oh, my buddy can get it done. Like from what I know, he's always gets the job done, but he's not telling the full picture because he wouldn't agree to it. But there was information about these guerrillas who was trying to export Soviet weaponry into the United States through what's this area? Crap. God, I don't know. It was Venezuela, I think it was. I don't know, but uh, uh, you get then on the helicopter ride over. Uh, you get the feeling that you get to know, even just like a short little blip, you get to know each one of the members because they always got like a very significant thing about them, and like Billy. I mean, yeah, I think Billy. Yeah, Billy's the tracker of the group. Hawkins is like the radio operator. Uh, uh, Blaine's the heavy gunner. Uh, Pancho's explosives. Mac uh, is a machine gunner. Uh, and of course, like Dutch is the leader. And Dylan's like a CIA operator and former Vietnam War buddy of Dutch. So you got these guys with a specific set of skills, and of course Shane Black is funny as hell in this because I don't care what anybody says, he's pretty damn funny. That's why I love most of his movies because it's like he always has a comedic style, and he always got a little gimmick where it's like his movies always set during Christmas, and I like to say they're Christmas movies because they're set during Christmas. Uh, but he's always trying to get Billy to laugh at his stupid jokes, and mind you, this is set in the 80s. So there's going to be a few. If you ever seen the first Predator film, or even the first two Predator films, there's some language that might be triggering or problematic to you. But, get your undies out of the bunch and just go with the flow. It's fun. Whereas, like, Blaine it drops the homophobic F bomb on this plane ride over. He's trying to offer his team some tobacco, and none of them doesn't want any. And he says the word to them, and he's like, "This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus, just like me." And it's like, God, it's like I don't know why that's funny. It's still funny to me. It's the way he delivered it is so really good. And then Hawkins like, I was telling my girlfriend the other day, I like a little pussy. And she said, so am I. Mine's as big as a house. And then Billy's not laughing. He's got this cold look on it. It's like, because like, she wants like a little one. And it goes back to his crossword. It's like, God, it's so good. And then like Pancho's like, he shows like Blaine his gun, like, stick this on your sore ass. It's like you instantly like these guys. And then of course, like, Blaine, spits out his tobacco and some of it land on Dylan's shoe. Of course, most of them don't really like this guy, this pencil pusher, what have you. And then Carol Brothers is like, just like, You think it like there's gonna be like a confrontation right then and there when I first watched this, but because he's real cool with it. Like, you got a real bad habit you got there. This is like just the way he delivers is so cool. The man is cool as hell. Uh, but they land into the landing zone and make a drop, and they come across a uh, crashed helicopter and find some skinned bodies of some Green Berets because they found the dog tags. One of which that Dylan and Dutch recognized because like this Jim Harper, and Dutch is confused like, you know, because it's like 3 weeks old, and it's like, what are they doing out here? And Dylan obviously was lying, but he's like, I don't know, they shouldn't have been out here, kind of thing. So they make their way to the target location, not realizing they are being tracked by the predator. But predator's keeping far away. He's pretty much studying his prey and see how they work. So they make it to the location, and one of the guerrilla insurgents kills one of the hostages, and so they make their move. And just you see these guys how they operate, and they just like systematically really taking these guys down. Very action movie, kind of stuff that you really would love. And like, of course, you see this moment where like Dutch throws his knife, lands. It's obviously so super fake, but it's so cool. He's got this, you know, giant blade, through his chest and sticking against the wall. He goes, "Stick around," and then they find Anna, who I guess was one of the insurgents, but they take her hostage. Well, at least Dylan wanted to question her, for information, because after Dutch finds out that Dylan's been lying to them, and Dylan just says like, "Hey, we're expendable. I can accept that. Why don't you?" And it's just like he's a completely like, not the same guy that Dutch used to know. It's like he's a government man at this point. Acceptable losses, blah blah blah. So while they leave, and the predator's like been observing and proceeds to track her down. And while Anna is trying to make her escape, Hawkins goes chasing after her. He's killed. He's the first one killed right off the bat. It was like gory as hell, and he's quickly, which I want to point out here because it's always been confusing to me throughout these Predator films. Now, of course, you can chop it up to like it's just movie kind of thing, movie magic, movie logic, but how he skinned these guys so quickly. There's not all the time, but there's moments where you see like people getting skinned and hung upside down, and it's like there's time that need to be. Yeah, granted, he got alien technology, maybe to speed up the process. But I would actually like to see the process and why is it so fast? Because even still, it's like done within like maybe seconds to maybe like a minute and a half, and that's not like honestly in my mind long enough to skin people that thoroughly. But anyway, they see a pool of blood, and they can't find the body of Hawkins, and they question her, and she's the only thing she says in Spanish is like, the jungle came alive and took him, and none of what she says is making sense to them. And Billy's getting worried because as he's knows certain things, he's getting freaked out, and it's like he's like, I think we're being hunted because given the fact that there was no trace from the bodies that they found from the Green Berets, and it's like there was a shootout, but there was seemed like they were firing blindly, and there was like almost no trace of anybody surrounding them or whatever. It's just like it doesn't make any sense. And he seems like little glimpses of the predator, cloaked, or his eyes, or at least Mac knows his eyes later on. But Blaine gets shot by a plasma cannon through his chest, and his chest burst out. This was like a shocking thing to me as a kid seeing that. Like, oh my god! And then Mac, because he's best friends with this guy, they've been partners, throughout all these different been war buddies for a long time. And you see his buddy getting taken down, and he runs out and takes, Blaine's minigun and starts firing wildly into the forest, and all the buddies come in and start firing along with him because, like, obviously we're under attack, and it's like it's an awesome shot. There's a lot of awesome shots in this movie, and it's like, yeah, back, and then everybody just start blasting, boom, 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 and like, and it's just like freaking, it's so loud, and it's like everything's smoking, and of course, Predator still managed to get away, but not without being nicked by one of the bullets. Because, which is still weird. It's like, he's like, all those bullets flying, and only he gets a nicked in the leg. And it's like, that's bizarre. Granted, yeah, he could probably still get away, but he still got to get, like, hit at least a couple other parts of his body. Because it's like, there's a lot of bullets firing. Despite it being wildly, random, but it's still focused in a wide, distinct area. Let's say, like, I got firing, something hit me, or hit my friend and came from the left side. I might be firing blindly, but I'm shooting blindly in that one particular direction. So, that part always confuses me. That was so weird. And it's like, you see the dust settling as he's running, and it's like, he doesn't even bother to run in a different direction. Even maybe I just can't tell from the way it's shot, but it just seems like he's still running in the same direction where those bullets flying. And he didn't even bother to jump through the trees or like go in a different direction where they're not firing to avoid the gunfire. That part was confusing. Anywho, they're all out of ammo at this point, or at least they, need to reload. But, Dutch questions Mac, like, who did this to Blaine? And it's like, he doesn't know. It's like, it was his eyes. It's like, it was, only got a glimpse of his eyes. And like, they try to question the girl again. She's the only one that can give them some hint of what they're dealing with here. And she doesn't know. She just says the same thing. The jungle came alive and killed them. But she doesn't relate to them until later that there was blood on one of the leaves, so they must have got him. And you get the iconic line, if it bleeds, we can kill it. But Billy mentions, like, there's something out there, Major. It ain't no man. We're all gonna die. So now, people are, they're getting spooked now. And Dylan's still adamant there's gotta be like 3 or 4 gorillas out there, and we gotta take them out. And it's like, this has gone far beyond just gorillas at this point, because like when Hawkins got killed, they didn't take none of his gear. Typically, like, these insurgents would probably like at least take his radio or something. They left all that behind. They just took the body. This is not something, that there would be that MO. And then, like, the way that this, like, this systematically picking us off, and Billy mentions, like, oh, like a hunter. Which they brought up, after the Predator goes through their tripwires while they're trying to rest for the night. Because, like, the Predator's trying to, heal his wound, and it goes after Blaine's body. So now, they established like the LZ landing zone where they can get the extraction to get up out of here, because like, they come to realize something's hunting them. But after losing a couple of people, Dutch decides, we got to make a stand, otherwise there wouldn't be anybody else to go to the chopper. To the chopper! So they start setting up this massive trap just to get this thing. And I love this line from Carl Weathers. And he goes like, "You really think this Boy Scout bullshit is really going to work, huh? It can see through our traps. Instead of complaining, maybe you should help." And it's like, I love that line. It's like that Boy Scout bullshit. It was so doggone funny. But you get all this these muscly guys just like set up these traps, and it's like, oh, like, yeah, like I said, the testosterone is just like, you feel it. And he lets Anna go because it's like, we got to make a stand. We all got to work together because this thing is picking us all off, and it's like, we need all the help we can get. And like, granted, Anna might have been part of the insurgency, but at this point, none of that matters at this point. At least especially not to this creature. And while they line in wait, hoping this thing trips any one of the traps, Anna, because she can speak English, she's been hiding this whole time, she mentions how, like, this is not the first time her people witnessed something like this, because, on the days when it's like really hot, they, came across, a couple of their people, of their soldiers, strung up and skinned like trophies. I forgot what the Spanish, saying she mentions, but it's pretty much like the devil that makes trophies of men. And so this is the first establishment that the Predators probably been doing this for quite some time. We just never knew how long or far back they've been doing this until Predator 2 kind of make a point of that. So Dutch decides to use himself as bait. They temporarily trap the Predator, but as a result, as him escaping the net, one of the logs was tripped, and it hits Pancho, severely injuring him. So now they got to, just make their way to the chopper at this point, while the Predator is like seemingly running away. And Billy and Mac go after the thing, trying to at least, nail this thing, because Mac is at this point is like on like a revenge trip at this point. But and it's always hard for me to watch this part because I usually skip it, because like the way, because like out of all like the deaths the Predator dished out in this film, Carl Weathers' death is the most hard to watch, because not only his arm gets blown off, and it's just the scream he makes as like the Predator guts him, and it's like, and the look that Dutch gives, it was just like, it was hard. That was like, that probably hurt him more than anything, because that was his man, that was his guy, that was his road dog, and it's like, it's just like he knows he didn't make it. So Billy decides to try to stay back to. He didn't say any words. He just stood there, took off his shirt, makes a cut on his chest to establish like, I'm taking on this thing head on. He didn't last long, and his scream was like almost like almost like a woman's scream. It was like horrendous. It was off screen, but you can only, and that's one of those movie things where it's like the best kind of kills in movies like this, or even horror films, is the ones that is not seen. That a great director wants or the audience to use their own imagination of what could possibly have been done to this person to make that kind of scream. Uh, uh, and then the predator manages to catch up with them, blast you know uh, a shot at Pancho. He's dead at this point, and there's only Anna and Dutch left. And, Dutch tells Anna, "Do not pick up the weapons. Go get to the chopper." And so Dutch decides to have the predator follow him, and he's running and falls over to this riverbank. As he's crawling out and he's covered in mud, the predator falls right behind him, and as Dutch is waiting for the thing to make a move, the predator can't see him because with the cold mud covers his body, so he can't, because he sees in, in thermal imaging. So Dutch at this point decides he's gonna make a final stand and makes more traps and leads the predator to to where he wants him. He ends up just causing his cloaking device to be destroyed thanks to one of the traps. So the predator is at this point fighting blind, and because of the predator, firing his blaster blindly, because the predator is not that stupid, he decides, okay, he's around here somewhere. So he decided to fire blindly until he gets a whiff of something. And one of the shots, forces Dutch to fall into the water below this little pond, and the mud starts washing off. The predator sees him. Now he takes off his gear to fight. Oh, he's a worthy opponent, so he's gonna fight him hand to hand. And this is like one of those rare movies where you see like the Arnold Schwarzenegger get his ass handed to him, and that's so rare. You see like your action movie lead, your box office big heavy hitter, getting his butt handed to him. He still wins, but it's like he's going through again, like a brutal beating. And this brings up in my mind about like during the whole beef with Vin Diesel and The Rock during the last movie together before it dissolved into like a feud between these two. Because both of these guys are really good guys, but the fact that these two, they had like a fight over like who gets the final hit or one up or whatever with each other in that little confrontation in a movie scene with their characters. And of course, like movie stars typically have like big egos, and it's like one cannot one up the other between these two, and it's like that's so petty. If it was The Rock in this, he wouldn't want, and I think that's probably why he wants to fight like Superman, because he doesn't want to be the bad guy in a Shazam movie. Who Black Adam is, Captain Marvel's arch nemesis, so that has to be a thing. That always, gets under my skin. But The Rock cannot ruin his little image. I love The Rock, but it's like he's going to get over himself in certain cases. Like he has to be the enemy to Captain Marvel, Shazam. He has to, and he's going to have to lose. And because this whole kick about like I gotta fight Superman, leave that for your second or third film. It's like not right out the gate, man. But it's like if this was The Rock in a Predator film, he would not. Well, I think at this point we all would agree that in The Rock's mindset, he would not want like something like the Predator, as big as he is. He would not want something like the Predator whooping on him, as much as he was whooping on Dutch in this scene. And it's just like with like Tom Cruise, he cannot be depicted as a short guy, even though he's on average height. He's not tall at all. It's just weird egos with these people. I'm not very tall at all. If I'm casting a film or whatever, I do not give a crap. How people depict me as compared to somebody who's obviously taller than me. I'm like nearly 6 feet, maybe like an inch shorter than that. relatively average height, not that tall at all. But and I'm in a fight scene, I wouldn't care if somebody get like a one up me on a scene. Like I really do not care in a fight scene, whether like I'm the good guy or the bad guy. Like whether how it is written in the scene is written in the scene. It's like I can't imagine anybody egos that fucking huge or that insecure. Anywho, the Predator not falling for one of the other Dutch's little tricks, tries to walk around because he feels like it's clearly a trap. So I'm gonna walk around and come through the other end to try to get to you. But then Dutch realizes, okay, I'll just kill you with a counterweight. Boom! Twist the wire. The counterweight comes of the log come hit him directly on the head. Should have killed him instantly. But this thing is tough as balls. So he's coughing up blood. He's gonna die. But typical in the Katya's race, they cannot leave evidence of their whereabouts or that they've been here, so that way their opponents won't get like the one up on them next time one of them shows up. Also, in my mind, I believe they don't want their technology. Well, that kind of coincides. They don't want their technology being found to be used against them. Also, don't want any proof of their ever existing. They got to be anonymous completely, so that way they can always come back the next several years for another hunt. So he sets off his self-destruct mechanism on his arm because after it's like it's the because every once in a while you get the haunting voice from the Predator as Arnold or Dutch, as I say, asks, "What the hell are you? What the hell are you?" And then you get that creepy laugh. and and Dutch quickly realized, oh, it's a fucking countdown. And he books it before the thing went off. And like the chopper where Anna is on comes, picks him up, and the movie ends with Dutch, just dealing with the haunting experience of what he went through. But there's established comics explaining what Dutch had done after his experience with the Predator in this movie, where he gone through like some research and like trying to capture these things and try to figure out how to beat these races because they've been from his travels he's learned these beings have been coming to the planet Earth throughout different points in history on different parts of the world, killing people, skinning them, and all this other stuff. And he's trying to like figure out a way to like stop them next time they come in. They can be better prepared to fight them off because this cannot continue. Where innocent people, or at least whether like they're innocent or not, at least these people, whether they're warriors in some shape or form, they cannot be picked off like this, like cattle or whatever animals like this for any much longer than what they already been doing before he kind of like for all intents and purposes he was like the first survivor, but this is prior to the movie Prey. She was probably like the first survivor, at least as far as we've known. But if there's been any more movies set in different time periods, there might be one in feudal Japan because there's a katana sword that was found in the movie Predators. So that might be like a first acknowledgement of a predator. But maybe you can probably set this during like the time during caveman periods, and like that can be like the first because in Prey you can see like a old style, still kind of high tech but kind of archaic weaponry of the predators, dealing with the Comanche warrior. So during the caveman period, it's a little bit more archaic, where this caveman is taking on this predator. But this is like a fun movie. It is a really good movie, classic upper echelon of a movie. And I think I put Prey very narrowly, you know, neck and neck with it as far as like its quality of a film. Uh, but let me know in the comments below what you thought of the first Predator movie. Which one was your favorite characters? What was your favorite scene? Anything you might dislike from the film, let me know. And I will see you guys in a few minutes as I cover Predator 2. And in the next couple of days, I'll cover the last two Predator films that I love, Predators and Prey. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. And join me later on this evening as I start streaming more Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta, open beta on my PS5 for a few hours. And then after that, I'll play a few hours of Octopath Traveler for the Nintendo Switch. So yeah, definitely join me on twitch.tv/talkativecarl. All the links are in the description.